Moms, what's a secret parenting choice you made that you still feel guilty about? When my son was 7, his father and I divorced. It wasn't quiet or civil or mature adults doing what's best for the kid. It was messy. Ugly in the way only a breakup with years of resentment behind it can be. There were shouting matches in the kitchen after bedtime, whispered arguments behind closed doors that weren't as soundproof as we thought. Eventually, it all boiled over into court documents and custody hearings. He accused me of being unstable, unfit, said I couldn't care for our son because of my history with depression. He claimed I had no business being a full-time parent. I wasn't perfect. I'd had rough patches, missed a few doses of medication here and there, spent a few days curled up in bed longer than I should have, but I loved my son, desperately. I showed up for him in every way I could, and I couldn't bear the thought of losing him. The judge ordered psychiatric evaluations for both of us. I had one shot to prove I was okay. That night before my appointment, I sat at my kitchen table shaking, and when I walked into that office the next morning, I told the psychiatrist exactly what they needed to hear. I lied, flat out, said I'd never had suicidal thoughts, never missed my meds, never felt paralyzed by the weight of everything. I painted a version of myself that was steady, cheerful, competent, the mother of the year version, and when asked about my ex, I told them he was unpredictable, emotionally distant, always putting work before family. Not technically untrue, but exaggerated. What kills me is that he wasn't a bad father. He was impatient, sure, tired all the time. But he coached t-ball when he could, made pancakes on Saturdays, always remembered to bring our son's favorite cereal when he picked him up. He loved our kid more than anything. I got primary custody. He moved 3 hours away for work. Visitation was every other weekend, but over time, those visits grew fewer and farther between. Holidays were split, calls turned into texts, and eventually, even those slowed down. I justified it to myself. Told myself if he really wanted to be there, he'd make it work. Told my son that sometimes adults grow apart, and that didn't mean his dad loved him any less. Last month, my son turned 16. He was helping me clear out some old boxes in the attic when he found a stack of letters, dusty envelopes tied with twine, written in his father's unmistakable handwriting. They were letters I never gave him, letters from years ago, pleading with me to reconsider the custody arrangement, asking if he could have summers, offering to drive the extra miles, begging, really. He sat on the floor and read every single one. Then he came downstairs, holding them in his hands like they were made of glass. "Did you keep him away from me?" he asked. No yelling, just quiet, calm confusion, like he wasn't even sure he wanted to know. I told him the truth, all of it. The court, the lie, the guilt. I thought he'd scream or slam a door or walk out, but he didn't. He just looked tired, sad. Then he said the thing that broke me. "Mom, Dad died last year thinking I didn't want to see him." I froze. I hadn't known. His sister, my ex's sister, had tried calling, but I'd blocked her number years ago, back when everything was still bitter and fresh. The funeral had already passed. There was no service to attend, no chance to say goodbye. My son didn't yell, didn't blame me. That might have been easier. He just quietly asked if we could visit the grave, so we drove 3 hours in silence. When we got there, he knelt down and rested his hand on the stone like he'd been carrying weight for years. Then he talked, just started speaking into the wind. Told his dad about the math team, about the girl he liked, about how he made the varsity team and how he wished he'd been there to see it. I stood off to the side, watching my son speak to a piece of polished granite, trying not to fall apart.